The lie about the prostate. If you're a man in his 40s, 50s, or beyond, and you have ever found yourself quietly typing questions into a search bar late at night, questions tinged with anxiety about your most intimate health, then you know exactly the topic we must tackle today. I'm Dr. Emily Carter, and as a physician specializing in men's aging and sexual health here at ElderWell Living, I've heard the whispers, seen the panic, and witnessed firsthand the immense amount of misinformation that swirls around one specific, small, but vitally important gland, the prostate. We are not talking about simple discomfort, we are talking about deeply rooted fear. For decades, men have been fed a destructive lie, a baseless myth that permeates locker rooms, old internet forums, and even the generational advice passed down through families. The lie suggests that engaging in daily sexual activity, specifically through masturbation, is somehow harmful to your body. The fear-mongering narrative is vivid. It's dangerous. It will wear out the organ. It could lead to chronic inflammation known as prostatitis, or worst of all, it will increase your risk of prostate cancer. These claims, these anxiety-inducing warnings, are often moral judgments disguised as health advice, and they target one of the most common and serious health concerns facing men, prostate cancer. It is understandable why this fear takes root. Prostate cancer is indeed one of the most frequently diagnosed cancers in men. The prostate itself is a small, walnut-sized gland situated just below the bladder and in front of the rectum. Its main fundamental job is to produce the essential fluid that nourishes and transports sperm, the very definition of semen. Despite its small stature, this gland plays a massive and increasingly crucial role in a man's health as he gets older. So when you hear stories that suggest you are actively damaging this critical component of your reproductive and urinary system, it creates profound anxiety. For too long, these myths went unchallenged. They were dismissed as old wives' tales, yet they continued to influence behavior and cause distress. But around the turn of the century, scientific researchers at one of the most respected academic institutions in the world decided enough was enough. They recognized the need to move beyond guesswork and moralizing to apply the rigor of large-scale science. They sought to answer the private question that echoes in search histories. What really happens to your prostate if you ejaculate every single day? The study they designed was not a casual survey or a small clinical trial. It was a massive, long-term epidemiological investigation designed to track tens of thousands of men over nearly 20 years. Their goal was clear: to gather objective, longitudinal data that could finally put these pervasive myths to the test. What they eventually discovered didn't just challenge the prevailing wisdom, it utterly annihilated it. The findings were genuinely shocking and completely changed the conversation about masturbation, sexual frequency, and prostate health forever. It is almost certainly not what you have been led to believe. The truth, backed by the most extensive data available on the subject, is that the conventional wisdom is exactly backward. That is the core conflict we will resolve today. But to truly appreciate the magnitude of this scientific revelation, we first need to understand the specifics of the data, where it came from, and what it implies about the biological mechanisms at work within your body. The fear you've carried is about to be replaced with empowering knowledge and a clear, actionable path toward better health. By the time we conclude this discussion, you will understand how to use this knowledge and the knowledge of diet, exercise, and preventative care as your most powerful tools against the most common cancer facing men. The journey starts now, with a deep dive into the source of this groundbreaking myth-busting data. This shift from anxiety to affirmation is profound, and it begins with recognizing that the very act you might have been told was dangerous is now supported by high-authority science as potentially protective. We must approach this topic not with embarrassment, but with the professional curiosity and critical analysis that any major health finding deserves. My goal is to equip you with the full context, not just the headline, so you can confidently integrate this information into your overall health strategy. Remember, the key to successful aging is proactive, evidence-based self-care, and that includes understanding the role of your sexual health. We're moving past the conjecture and into the concrete numbers revealed by the researchers. The results were so stunning that they have been consistently debated and reaffirmed across the globe, including support from a major Australian study that found a similar protective link. This convergence of evidence from multiple, independent research bodies speaks volumes. It tells us that this is not a statistical anomaly, but a robust biological or behavioral correlation that warrants serious attention. In the next section, we'll lift the curtain on this landmark study and unveil the exact percentage reduction in cancer risk that has fundamentally altered the medical community's perspective on this topic. Prepare yourself, because the revelation is nothing short of stunning. The revelation about the protective nature of frequent ejaculation stems from a place of unquestionable authority, Harvard University, specifically the Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health. This institution is globally renowned for its rigorous, long-term health studies, and the investigation we are discussing, a nearly 2-decade-long analysis, is a perfect example of their commitment to uncovering population-level health truths. This was not some small-time survey. The researchers meticulously tracked the health outcomes and lifestyles of nearly 32,000 men. For almost 20 years, this massive cohort provided the data necessary to analyze the true relationship between lifestyle factors and serious diseases, including cancer. One of the core data points they scrutinized, with extraordinary detail, was the frequency of ejaculation. When the complex statistical analysis was finally completed, the results were, as the original research team themselves noted, the very definition of stunning, the kind of finding that generates immediate shockwaves across the medical field. Here is the central, explosive truth that shattered the old myths. The study concluded unequivocally that men who reported a higher frequency of ejaculation had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer. Let me emphasize that point because it directly contradicts the pervasive fear that has stressed generations of men. More frequent ejaculation was demonstrably linked to a lower risk of prostate cancer. The numbers weren't just vaguely suggestive, they were specific and highly significant. The researchers found that men who ejaculated 21 or more times per month, a frequency that averages out to about 5 times per week, experienced a powerful protective effect. These men had up to a 33% lower risk of being diagnosed with prostate cancer compared to men who ejaculated only 4 to 7 times per month. A 33% reduction in risk is not a minor footnote. It is a profound clinical finding. To put that into perspective, this level of risk reduction is comparable to some benefits achieved through significant, difficult lifestyle changes, yet this factor is intrinsic to men's sexual health and pleasure. This finding stands in complete opposition to the old fears. Instead, the evidence pointed toward a powerful, natural protective mechanism at work. The consistency of this finding is equally important. As I mentioned, the Harvard results were not an isolated event. This protective link has been replicated and supported by other extensive investigations, including a major Australian study that found a similar protective link. When such compelling data emerges from independent, large-scale studies on 2 different continents, the scientific community must pay attention. It indicates a robust, repeatable phenomenon. Now, for any finding this dramatic, the immediate and critical question is why? How could a simple, natural, and pleasurable act have such a profound and measurable impact on the health of the prostate gland? The mechanism is what elevates this from a curious correlation to actionable health knowledge. It allows us to move beyond simply observing a link and begin to understand the biological benefit. If we know how it works, we can better integrate this behavior into a comprehensive preventative health strategy. Scientists have formulated several leading theories to explain this powerful protective effect, and they are grounded in the physiology of the prostate and the cellular environment it maintains. These theories collectively present a compelling picture of the prostate as an organ that benefits immensely from regular natural maintenance, which is exactly what frequent ejaculation provides. The first and most popular of these theories is known as the prostate stagnation hypothesis. To understand this, you must picture the prostate's internal structures as a network of tiny ducts, essentially tiny pipes. The prostate produces fluid continuously, and over time, if this fluid is not regularly cleared, old cells, metabolic byproducts, and accumulated secretions can stagnate within these ducts. The stagnation hypothesis suggests that regular ejaculation helps to flush out these pipes. This cleansing process is vital because it removes accumulated substances. This process clears away old cells, built-up secretions, and potentially harmful substances or carcinogens before they have a chance to linger, cause inflammation, and potentially trigger the cellular changes that lead to cancer. It is, quite literally, a natural cleansing mechanism. Understanding this mechanism is the key to accepting the data. It transforms the act from a source of anxiety into a genuine physiological requirement for long-term glandular health. It is the first step in moving from passive worry to active, informed self-management. But this flushing mechanism is just one part of the scientific picture. In the next section, we'll explore the equally fascinating cellular and psychological theories that further explain the remarkable protective power demonstrated in the Harvard data, diving into how cellular turnover and stress management contribute to this 33% risk reduction. The prostate stagnation hypothesis, which posits that regular ejaculation naturally flushes out carcinogens and built-up cellular waste, provides a strong foundation for understanding the protective effect. However, the scientific explanation for the profound 33% risk reduction is multi-layered, involving two other crucial mechanisms: cellular health and the body's inflammatory response. The second theory revolves around cellular health and efficient turnover. Our bodies are constantly regenerating, and this process is both essential for health and inherently risky. Every time a cell divides to replace an old one, there's a tiny chance of a genetic error, a mutation that could lead to cancer. In a low turnover environment, an aging or damaged cell might persist longer than it should, increasing the opportunity for it to undergo malignant transformation and multiply into a cancerous growth. The hypothesis here is that frequent ejaculation promotes a healthier cycle of cellular turnover. It encourages the prostate to replace old, potentially damaged cells with new, healthy ones more efficiently, reducing the opportunity for cancerous cells to take hold and multiply. Think of it as a proactive maintenance schedule for your cellular machinery. You aren't just cleaning the pipes, you're replacing the oldest parts before they can break down. This active management of cell replacement is a vital, subtle mechanism in cancer prevention, ensuring that the prostate maintains a robust, healthy, and resilient cellular structure. The third scientific idea connects to a broader, systemic issue that impacts all aging men: chronic stress and inflammation. We know that chronic inflammation is a major risk factor for many types of cancer. When the body is in a persistent state of high tension or psychological stress, it produces higher levels of inflammatory hormones. This internal, corrosive environment can damage cell structures, weaken the immune system's ability to catch early cancerous changes, and encourage the growth of tumors. The act of ejaculation is linked to a reduction in tension and psychological stress. It triggers the release of neurochemicals, like prolactin and oxytocin, that promote relaxation and a profound sense of well-being. By routinely lowering these stress levels, you might also be lowering the body's overall inflammatory response, which would naturally contribute to a healthier internal environment for the prostate. This reduction in inflammation, especially in a localized susceptible area like the prostate, naturally contributes to a healthier internal environment, making it far less hospitable for cancer to initiate and thrive. When you synthesize all three theories, the mechanical flushing, the efficient cellular turnover, and the powerful anti-inflammatory effect derived from stress reduction, a clear, unified picture emerges. Regular ejaculation, whether from sex with a partner or from masturbation, appears to play a significant role in maintaining a healthy prostate by cleaning out the system, promoting healthy cell turnover, and potentially reducing inflammation. This is the scientific basis for the shocking 33% risk reduction found by the Harvard researchers. It is not magic, it is simply robust human physiology and biochemistry responding positively to a natural stimulus. This deep understanding is crucial because it gives you confidence in the action you are taking. You are not relying on folk remedies, you are leveraging a proven, physiological mechanism. However, it is essential to translate the specific data point provided by the Harvard study 21 or more times per month into a practical, sustainable, and realistic strategy for the middle-aged and elderly audience. While the science supports the benefit, demanding an exact daily frequency might lead to unnecessary pressure or anxiety, which would counteract the positive stress reduction effect we just discussed. The gold standard frequency of 21 or more times per month is the data that yielded the maximum benefit, but it also presents a significant commitment. We need to analyze this number not as a mandatory quota, but as an indicator of the consistency required to maintain the three protective mechanisms we've explored. It speaks to the regularity needed to prevent stagnation and encourage turnover, rather than the act itself being purely curative. In the next section, we will break down the true meaning of the 21 times benchmark and provide a framework for integrating this frequency into a non-stressful, healthy lifestyle. The headline figure from the Harvard study, the finding that men who ejaculated 21 or more times per month achieved up to a 33% lower risk of prostate cancer is undeniably the most compelling data point. However, this number, 21, must be treated with nuance. For many middle-aged and elderly men, maintaining an average of 5 or more ejaculations per week for decades might feel like a high, possibly even stressful target. Our goal at ElderWell Living is to provide sustainable, stress-reducing health advice, and that requires moving beyond a rigid quota to understand the spirit of the finding. The number 21 represents the upper threshold in the study where the maximum protective effect was observed. Crucially, the benefit was not an all-or-nothing proposition. The data showed a linear protective trend. The more frequently men ejaculated, the lower their risk of prostate cancer tended to be. The group that ejaculated between 8 and 13 times per month, for example, still saw a measurable reduction in risk compared to the lowest frequency group 4 to 7 times per month. The key takeaway is consistency over intensity. It is about providing the body with the necessary regularity to engage the protective mechanisms, the flushing of the ducts, the promotion of cellular turnover, and the management of inflammation. Translating this into a realistic, healthy lifestyle strategy involves setting an accessible, personalized goal. Instead of feeling pressure to hit 5 times per week, a more beneficial mindset is to aim for a regular, non-stressful rhythm that ensures those ducts are cleared and the cellular system is reset frequently. For a man aged 55 who is navigating the natural fluctuations of libido, partner availability, and stress, achieving 12 to 15 times per month, or roughly every 2 to 3 days, is a highly achievable and medically beneficial target. This frequency is enough to consistently activate the 3 protective mechanisms without turning a source of pleasure and stress relief into an anxiety-driven chore. Remember, the third protective theory emphasizes the reduction of psychological stress. If the pressure to hit a rigid quota of 21 times per month leads to performance anxiety, frustration, or a sense of inadequacy, the subsequent rise in cortisol and inflammatory markers could actually negate the biological benefits you are seeking. Therefore, the goal is to cultivate a healthy, self-aware sexual rhythm that is driven by pleasure, physical relief, and mental relaxation, not by a stopwatch or a calendar. The Harvard findings should be viewed as providing a powerful tool for self-care, not an obligatory task. The tool is frequent ejaculation, and the implementation is flexible. For those who are comfortable with self-stimulation, this becomes a simple, direct, and completely natural method of disease prevention. For those with partners, it enhances the value of regular, healthy partnered sex. The ultimate point, confirmed by the science, is that the source of the ejaculation is irrelevant. The physiological process and the resultant biological benefit are what truly matter. To ensure this tool is implemented successfully, there are practical considerations, especially for the older demographic who may be dealing with issues of erectile quality or hormonal fluctuations. If a man finds that achieving the desired frequency is difficult, this is not a failure of the preventative strategy but an important signal that other health factors need attention. Difficulty in maintaining a healthy sexual rhythm often points toward underlying issues such as vascular health. Erectile dysfunction is often an early warning sign of systemic vascular problems, issues with blood flow that also affect the heart and, yes, the prostate. Hormonal balance. Declining testosterone levels can reduce libido, making the consistency of 21 times per month difficult to sustain. Mental health, depression, anxiety, and unmanaged stress severely suppress the desire and ability to maintain sexual activity. Therefore, for the man who hears the 21 times per month target and feels discouraged, the immediate step is not to force it, but to consult with a physician to address these foundational health issues. Optimizing vascular function through diet and exercise, or addressing significant hormonal deficits under medical supervision, are the enabling steps that allow the beneficial frequency to be maintained naturally and pleasurably. In essence, the gold standard of 21 times per month is a scientific compass pointing toward the optimal level of prostate maintenance. Your job is to set a course that is both medically effective and personally sustainable, aiming for the highest frequency that you can comfortably and enjoyably achieve. You are using your body's natural processes to proactively manage your cancer risk, which is a significant and empowering shift in perspective. However, the scientific community, including the Harvard team, is quick to add a critical caveat to this groundbreaking finding. While the correlation between frequent ejaculation and reduced prostate cancer risk is strong, it is not a standalone solution. It is vital to avoid the assumption that this act is a magic bullet that makes you immune to cancer. This brings us to a crucial point of responsible health management, understanding that correlation does not equal singular causation, and integrating this sexual health advantage into the much larger puzzle of overall cancer prevention. We must now turn our attention to the other non-negotiable elements that complete the proactive prostate health blueprint. Understanding the power of frequent ejaculation to potentially reduce prostate cancer risk by up to 33% is incredibly empowering, but it introduces a subtle trap that we, as responsible specialists, must address immediately: the temptation to view it as a single, guaranteed preventative measure, a magic bullet. The answer is unequivocally no. Frequent ejaculation is not a guarantee of cancer prevention. This requires a deeper dive into the distinction between correlation and causation. The Harvard study established a very strong correlation, a powerful link between high ejaculation frequency and a lower risk of prostate cancer. However, a correlation does not automatically mean direct, one-to-one causation. It doesn't mean that the act of ejaculation is the sole factor responsible for preventing the disease. It is entirely possible, and indeed highly likely, that other related factors are involved. For example, the researchers considered the possibility that men who reported a higher ejaculation frequency also tend to have other healthier lifestyle habits. These men might be more likely to be physically active, maintain a healthier weight, eat a more balanced diet, or have better overall cardiovascular health. And that combination is what leads to the reduced risk. Therefore, the key takeaway is that ejaculation frequency is best understood as one important piece of a much larger puzzle when it comes to long-term prostate health. It should be celebrated as a significant tool in your preventative toolbox, but it is not a license to ignore everything else that science tells us about cancer prevention. True prostate health requires a multi-pronged strategy. Ignoring diet, neglecting exercise, or failing to seek regular medical checkups while relying solely on ejaculation frequency is a deeply flawed and potentially dangerous approach. We must now turn our attention to the other non-negotiable tools that complete this blueprint. The first and most critical external factor is diet. What you put into your body directly influences the cellular environment of your prostate, determining the level of inflammation and the availability of protective antioxidants. The science is clear. Diets rich in fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats are linked to better prostate health. This is not vague advice. There are specific micronutrients that have demonstrated a powerful protective effect against prostate cancer, and none is perhaps more studied than lycopene. Lycopene is a naturally occurring carotenoid, a bright red pigment and powerful antioxidant found in many red and pink fruits and vegetables. Crucially, foods containing lycopene, like tomatoes, watermelon, and grapefruit, are particularly beneficial and are consistently highlighted in epidemiological studies for their benefit. Lycopene acts as a shield at the cellular level, directly neutralizing free radicals, which are unstable molecules that can damage cellular DNA and initiate the cancer process. By neutralizing these free radicals, lycopene reduces the need for constant DNA repair, thereby lowering the risk of a repair error leading to a malignant mutation. What makes lycopene particularly fascinating is its bioavailability. The prostate gland actively accumulates and concentrates lycopene, making it a direct line of defense for this specific organ. Furthermore, a crucial dietary detail often missed is that lycopene is more readily absorbed by the body when it has been cooked and consumed with a small amount of fat. This means that a slice of raw tomato on a sandwich offers minimal benefit compared to a serving of high-quality tomato paste or a rich tomato sauce cooked with olive oil. This is a subtle yet vital prescription that turns ordinary food into medicine. In the next section, we will delve specifically into the lycopene prescription, outlining the exact, actionable quantities and preparation methods necessary to leverage this potent antioxidant. We will move beyond general suggestions to provide detailed guidance on the weekly intake required to truly fortify the prostate, reinforcing the necessary bridge between sexual health habits and nutritional science, and ensuring that your defense strategy is robust, evidence-based, and complete. The lycopene prescription is the first non-sexual health intervention that must be integrated with the practice of frequent ejaculation to complete the prostate health blueprint. We established that the powerful antioxidant, lycopene, accumulates directly in prostate tissue and acts as a shield against cellular DNA damage caused by free radicals. But as I noted, the method of consumption is as important as the food itself. To gain a truly protective benefit, you must focus on the most bioavailable forms of lycopene. The simple rule to remember is cooked, processed, and with fat. Raw tomatoes are healthy, but their lycopene is locked up within rigid cell walls, making it difficult for the body to absorb. Cooking breaks down these cell walls, releasing the lycopene and transforming it into a more easily absorbed cis isomer. My specific recommendation for middle-aged and elderly men looking to leverage this benefit is to aim for a minimum of 10 to 15 milligrams of lycopene daily, which is easily achievable through intentional dietary choices. Tomato paste and puree. These are the superstars. Just 2 tablespoons of high-quality tomato paste can contain 20 to 30 milligrams of readily available lycopene, immediately hitting your daily target. The consistency makes it easy to integrate. Simply stir a tablespoon into a soup, chili, or use it as a base for a homemade pasta sauce. Tomato sauce. A half-cup serving of a rich, oil-based tomato sauce such as marinara can provide 5 to 10 milligrams. The essential addition of a healthy fat, like extra virgin olive oil, is non-negotiable, as lycopene is fat-soluble, meaning it requires fat for optimal absorption. Watermelon and pink grapefruit. While not as potent as cooked tomato products, a large slice of watermelon can provide around 9 to 13 milligrams of lycopene. Pink grapefruit is also beneficial, providing approximately 3 to 5 milligrams per half fruit. These are excellent choices for raw intake and contribute to overall antioxidant status, supplementing the processed tomato sources. Beyond lycopene, your diet must also emphasize 2 other key categories identified by research: omega-3 fatty acids and polyphenols, particularly those found in green tea. Omega-3 fatty acids. These are essential healthy fats found in fatty fish like salmon, mackerel, and sardines. Omega-3 seconds are powerful anti-inflammatory agents. Since chronic inflammation is a pathway to prostate cancer, actively reducing systemic inflammation with omega-3 seconds provides a crucial defensive layer that complements the flushing mechanism of frequent ejaculation. I advise aiming for 2 servings of fatty fish per week. If fish is not practical, consider a high-quality fish oil supplement, providing at least 1,000 milligrams of combined EPA and DHA daily. Green tea. Green tea is also a great addition to the diet. This beverage is rich in polyphenols, specifically a potent catechin called EGCG, epigallocatechin 3-gallate. EGCG has been shown in clinical trials to have anti-proliferative effects, meaning it can help inhibit the growth of abnormal prostate cells. Making a habit of drinking 2 to 3 cups of high-quality brewed green tea daily adds another layer of cellular protection. The implementation of this lycopene prescription is a critical corrective measure to the causation versus correlation debate. By intentionally adopting a prostate-friendly diet, you ensure that the men in the Harvard study who had low cancer risk due to other healthier lifestyle habits now includes you. You are actively stacking the deck in your favor by combining the physiological cleansing mechanism with direct, powerful nutritional defense. The importance of diet is magnified by its connection to the next non-negotiable element of prostate health: body composition. While diet helps fight inflammation and cellular damage, physical activity is essential for controlling the most dangerous type of fat, visceral fat, which poses a direct, systemic risk to the prostate. The most recent research compels us to move beyond simply maintaining a healthy weight to focusing on where that weight is carried, a topic we must confront with urgency in the next section. We have established that frequent ejaculation is a powerful tool for prostate maintenance, and that a focused, lycopene-rich diet provides essential cellular defense. Now, we must confront the physical health pillar, which is often mistakenly reduced to simply exercise more. The scientific understanding of cancer risk has evolved past the general notion of body weight. The new focus is on visceral fat, and this requires a targeted, precise exercise regimen. Obesity is a known risk factor for more aggressive forms of prostate cancer. Obesity, particularly visceral obesity, is a known and significant risk factor for prostate cancer, especially the more aggressive forms of the disease. Visceral fat is not the subcutaneous fat you can pinch just under the skin. It is the metabolically active fat stored deep within your abdominal cavity, surrounding your internal organs, including, critically, the prostate. Recent large-scale studies have confirmed that the presence of this specific type of fat is a particularly potent, modifiable risk factor for more aggressive disease, often regardless of your overall body mass index. This fat is essentially an endocrine organ, pumping out inflammatory hormones and growth factors that directly encourage the proliferation of cancerous cells. It fuels the very inflammation we are trying to suppress through diet and stress management. Therefore, the exercise prescription for prostate health must be geared toward eliminating visceral fat. This is not about building massive muscles. It is about metabolic efficiency and hormone regulation. The most effective approach combines two forms of physical activity: high-intensity interval training, HIIT, and consistent moderate aerobic exercise. High-intensity interval training. This is the most efficient tool for burning visceral fat and improving insulin sensitivity. Insulin resistance, a common consequence of high visceral fat, is linked to cancer growth. HIIT involves short bursts of intense exercise followed by brief recovery periods. The implementation: aim for 2 to 3 sessions of HIIT per week. After a 5-minute warm-up, alternate 30 seconds of all-out effort such as sprinting, vigorous cycling, or rapidly climbing stairs, with 90 seconds of easy recovery. Repeat this cycle 8 times, followed by a cool-down. The intense phase triggers a powerful metabolic afterburn that targets visceral fat more effectively than steady-state cardio alone. Consistent moderate aerobic exercise. While HIIT is a visceral fat killer, consistent moderate activity maintains cardiovascular health, manages stress, and prevents the reaccumulation of fat. The implementation: even 30 minutes of moderate exercise most days of the week can make a huge difference. Aim for at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic exercise per week, which translates to 30 minutes most days of the week. Moderate intensity means you can carry on a conversation but are slightly breathless. This can be a brisk walk, a leisurely bike ride, or swimming. Regular physical activity helps you maintain a healthy weight, which is hugely important. The key to maximizing the prostate protective effect of exercise is not just the type of activity, but the consistency. The man who commits to 30 minutes of moderate activity 4 to 5 times per week is creating a consistently anti-inflammatory environment, managing his weight, and directly addressing a major systemic risk factor. This directly supports the positive, stress-reducing effects of frequent ejaculation, creating a powerful synergy. Furthermore, we must address 2 critical lifestyle inhibitors that can negate the benefits of frequent ejaculation: diet and exercise, smoking and excessive alcohol consumption. Both are linked to an increased risk of various cancers and can negatively impact your overall health. Both are linked to an increased risk of various cancers and have a profound negative impact on overall systemic health, especially the vascular system, which is essential for erectile function and prostate blood flow. Smoking introduces potent carcinogens that directly increase cancer risk, while excessive alcohol intake contributes to systemic inflammation and hormonal disruption. The advice is simple: cease smoking entirely and limit alcohol consumption. These are non-negotiable elements in the quest for comprehensive prostate protection. In summary, the exercise strategy for optimal prostate health is highly specific. It must be a blend of intense metabolic work to burn visceral fat and consistent aerobic activity to maintain a healthy, anti-inflammatory state. This physical commitment, combined with the lycopene prescription and the intentional practice of frequent ejaculation, forms the comprehensive foundation of the protective blueprint. The final, and arguably most critical, piece of the puzzle is the active partnership with your physician, the proactive medical blueprint that ensures all your self-care efforts are monitored and validated by clinical screening. We have journeyed from the myth-busting scientific revelation of the Harvard study to the specific, actionable steps across sexual health, diet, and exercise. The final non-negotiable step in the proactive prostate health blueprint is the one factor that no amount of lycopene, exercise, or ejaculation can replace: proactive medical partnership and regular screening. The cumulative benefit of frequent ejaculation, a lycopene-rich, anti-inflammatory diet, and targeted visceral fat exercise is immense, but these are all preventative measures. They dramatically reduce the risk of cancer, but they do not eliminate it entirely. Therefore, the single most effective way to protect yourself is to ensure any potential problem is caught at its earliest, most treatable stage. This requires a dedicated, consistent, and honest relationship with your primary care physician or a urologist. Nothing, not diet, not exercise, not ejaculation frequency, replaces the need for regular medical checkups. The need for regular medical checkups becomes especially critical for men over the age of 40 or 50, and even earlier for those with a family history of prostate cancer. A man with a first-degree relative, a father or brother, who had prostate cancer has a significantly elevated risk and should begin screening conversations earlier. The core of the screening strategy involves a conversation about the prostate-specific antigen PSA blood test. What it is. The PSA test measures the level of a protein produced by the prostate gland. Elevated levels can be an indicator of prostate cancer, though they can also be raised by non-cancerous conditions like benign prostatic hyperplasia, BPH, or even a recent bout of prostatitis. The conversation. Talking to your doctor about screening options like the PSA blood test is the single most effective way to catch any potential problems early when they are most treatable. Screening is a personal choice, and the conversation with your doctor is more important than the test result alone. You need to discuss your individual risk factors, age, ethnicity, family history, and the potential benefits and drawbacks of screening. However, avoiding the conversation entirely removes your opportunity to benefit from early detection. Regular monitoring of your PSA level over time is generally more informative than a single reading. A sharp increase in PSA over a year or a high velocity of change is often the most concerning indicator, prompting your doctor to consider further investigation. The complete proactive blueprint summary. To bring this entire strategy together and formalize it for you, here is the complete, non-negotiable yearly plan. Sexual health consistency. Aim for a regular, non-stressful rhythm of ejaculation, comfortably achieving 12 to 15 or more times per month, to engage the flushing, cellular turnover, and anti-stress mechanisms. The unbelievable truth is that this might actually be one of the simplest, most natural things you can do to contribute to a healthier prostate over the long term. Lycopene prescription. Consume a daily source of cooked or processed lycopene, AG, 2 tablespoons of tomato paste with a small amount of healthy fat, and ensure 2 weekly servings of omega-3 rich fish. Visceral fat elimination. Commit to at least 150 minutes per week of moderate aerobic exercise, supplemented by 2 to 3 sessions of high-intensity interval training, HIIT, to aggressively manage visceral fat. Inhibitor control. Completely eliminate smoking and strictly moderate alcohol consumption. Avoid smoking and limit alcohol consumption. Proactive screening. Schedule an annual checkup with your physician to discuss your individual prostate cancer risk and monitor your PSA levels, especially if you are over 50 or have a family history. This 5-point blueprint ensures that you are utilizing every tool available to you, from your own natural physiology to the latest in nutritional and medical science. So, let's circle all the way back to our original shocking question. What does daily masturbation do to your prostate? The unbelievable truth, backed by top-tier science, is that far from being the harmful act that myth and fear have made it out to be, it might actually be one of the simplest, most natural things you can do to contribute to a healthier prostate over the long term. It is not a cure-all. It is not a replacement for a healthy lifestyle and regular doctor visits, but the evidence is compelling. A healthy sex life, which includes masturbation, is a partner, not an enemy, in the fight for long-term prostate health. You are now equipped with the comprehensive truth. This knowledge empowers you to shed the anxiety and replace it with confidence and proactive action. You no longer have to fear this aspect of your life. You can embrace it as an integral component of your longevity and vitality. I want to hear from you. What other deeply held health myths have you been told that you want us to investigate next? Drop them in the comments below. Share this video with the men in your life who need to hear this truth. And subscribe to ElderWell Living so you never miss another science-backed myth-busting guide. As we conclude this crucial conversation, take a moment to reflect on the immense responsibility you have for your own well-being. The secret to health is not in seeking out a single miracle cure, but in the quiet, consistent discipline of self-care. It's in the meal you choose, the walk you take, the routine you keep, and now, the physiological benefits you actively leverage. Embrace this knowledge, act on the blueprint, and live your healthiest, longest life.